1, 2, 3. Let's see if we're live now. Well, I tell you what, Facebook refuses to play nicely tonight. Let's see. Frozen guest. Let's see. It's just it's not cutting it. Let's see what YouTube's showing. All right. It's 53 minutes of that one. Uh-oh. You there, Duke? Let's see. I don't know what's up with Facebook.
Well, maybe it's Dominion doing something with the election. Who knows?
We've got Greg Bell. Let's see. Greg Bell says third time might be a charm. I don't know what's going on here. It refuses to show us our video. YouTube's fine. Greg, can you hear us on Facebook? Is there anybody out there? Let's see. No, Duke. All right. Let's see. Duke will be on in just a second. Should, yeah, something went wrong. All
right. You can't see me?
I can see you fine. I can see you and hear you fine. So it's not an internet connection. It's something with Facebook. Let me go back to YouTube one more time. So we need to make an executive decision here whether to finish this out or just do it next week. You want to try it next week? All right, 53 minutes of that one. Let's see, latest from bossierwatch. This is very aggravating. Still trying to fix the... Yeah, looks like we're only on YouTube. So hold on a second, folks. Let's see, which one was this restart number 2? I don't even know where we're at. Let's see, hold on a second. Let me catch up on myself. Yeah, looks like we're only on YouTube. So hold on a second, folks. All right, let me catch up with myself because there's a delay in the feed, a normal delay in the feed. All right, so, well, yeah, all right. So we're live again on Facebook. All right, I'll tell you what. Yeah, you're right, Ashley. I think I just hate to continue this discussion and not have the Facebook crowd too with the library issues. I really hate to do that.
Yeah, because it needs complete coverage. And so I tell you what, why don't we do something? Let's do something special just for the YouTube people.
Okay. And what sort of idea do you have?
Well, I don't know. What do they want to talk about? This will be a YouTube only. What subject? Name a subject. Y'all watching? Name a subject that you want to chat about real quick. And wait a minute. What can we do here? Let's see. Well, we've got some things. We've got some things in the files and in hoppers, and maybe we could put something out there.
Yeah, and I want to, we need to order some of those coffee mugs anyway, so let's throw something real into the mix. Let's figure out how to give away a coffee mug. Now, it'll take about 7 to 10 days because we've got to have them made and all that. But let's figure out a way to have a coffee mug made.
All right, it shows that there are 17 people. Nope, 19. It just y'all got lucky right here at the last second.
Yeah, I'm trying quickly to get this posted on Facebook.
Whoa, look there, Greg Bell. He's on top of his game. He says Lucky's land grabs and screwing over the people of Bossier.
Yeah.
Well, while I'm semi-educated on that, I don't know that I'm educated enough to talk articulately about it.
Let's see.
So, climbing, we're up to 22 people. So let's see. I tell you what, the 25 people or so that's watching, why don't we put up the call-in number and let's let those people on YouTube call in and, and make some comments. Anybody wants to call? Does anybody want to call in?
That's interesting.
What do you think about that idea?
Well, we can do that. We may have to change the call-in number when we get done, but yeah, we can do it.
All right. Well, let's do it. Let's see here.
All right, and let's be clear to everybody. If you're still watching, because we're getting reports that we're getting audio but no video on Facebook. If you're watching on Facebook, I can't kill one feed without killing the other. So if you're on Facebook, I just posted, and some other people did as well, the YouTube link. So we would encourage you for this show to go over to that YouTube link and you can watch from YouTube. You don't have to sign into YouTube or anything like that unless you want to comment. But you can go to the YouTube feed and catch us there. So you may still hear us on Facebook. You just might not see us. Okay. With that said, all right. Yeah, let's post the number. Let me find
all right. Look in that little guest chat column. I put the number in there. You can copy and paste it and drag it over.
Let me.
I saw anybody in here that wanted to call in.
Yeah, I know.
We're gonna put y'all on the spot right here.
Yeah. All right. Let me get the software rolling, and then we'll post the number. And so look, people. All right. Here's the deal. You don't have to come in by video. This is literally a call-in number, so you can call in from your phone. You're just going to dial the phone number just like you regularly would, or you can call in from a landline, if anybody still has a landline. So you can do either one. All right, so here we go. Let's see. Let me make sure and put this in the comments. All right.
And whatever, call in. I mean, hey, everything's on the table. Let's talk.
All right, let me post this. All right, let's see. Let me
There's
post.
There's some particular people that, as bad as they are, I mean, I'll bet they're just chomping at the bits to call in. I'm gonna be depressed if they don't call in.
Here we go. Call in number. Okay. So there it is. It's showing up on the YouTube feed. It's also showing up on the Facebook comments, or it should show up on the Facebook comments. Again, I'll keep repeating myself a little bit here, but if you're trying to view the show on Facebook, you might can hear us, you might not can see us. If you want to watch us, I have put, and I think several other people have too, the YouTube link in the comments as well as on Facebook, so you can click and come over. Anyway, all right.
Okay, so now if one of them calls in, are we going to let them use an alias, or are they going to have to use their real name?
It's up to them. I mean, and look, let's be clear. If you call into the show, we don't have one of those fancy things that hides your voice and all that. So, you know, if your voice is distinctive, people will know how you are. So there's a call-in number. We're challenging you to call in and discuss a topic that you want to talk about.
And there's no takebacks on this live.
So right, it's live. Once it's out there,
you just need to know that.
All right, you know what? Let's get into the library discussion. Let's start it. Heck with it.
Well,
I mean, we're gonna have to make. It's gonna have to be over several weeks anyway.
Yeah, it is. But hey, before we go there, did you see that Twitter link I sent you? Let's show everybody that Twitter link.
You send it
because I don't know if y'all saw that. I texted it to you.
All right.
I don't know if you guys saw Alex Steiner, if you know who he is. He's a comedian, and he like goes to the Capitol, and he'll like AOC. He was like, he went to the Capitol and he was like hollering at AOC and he was like, "Hey AOC," he's like, uh, "I'm Latin," and says, "You're my favorite Latin big booty congressman," and or whatever. Where she called the Capitol Police on him and all. It was a funny deal.
All right.
Well,
So
this
yeah,
guy,
I want to
yeah.
address. I think it was Ashley's comment. So we'll start the library talks here in a few minutes. All right, go ahead, Duke. I got it pulled up now.
Well, anyway, this crazy guy, this nut, he goes to Penn State and he's going to be a speaker, right? Well, all the leftists come unglued and go after him. In fact, he's walking up in the middle of them and I would argue encouraging them. And here's the video. You just got to show it.
All right, here we go.
You're my favorite.
Fuck you. You are the reason
Thank you for coming. Thank y'all for buying tickets.
Watch.
Hey, let me out like that fetish. She does that. That turns me on. Now she turned me on. How am I going to sleep?
Wow. That's crazy. See, we don't get any of that kind of excitement in in the stuff that we do and at our city council meetings and other things.
That guy is nuts. I mean, she spit on him, and I mean, he had a loogie hanging off of his shoulder. I mean, from his shoulder blade to his chest.
The lizard gills were just absolutely perfect. What do they call those? I forget something dragons. But anyway, yeah. All right. So I'm texting a couple of people because I'm getting notices that Facebook is dark.
Well, how many people have called in, Rex?
Nobody. See, everybody thinks it's easy to get on here and yak for a couple hours, but it's not necessarily.
Guys, this is your time. We're giving you this time. This is your time. You should call into the show and let rip tater chip.
Yeah, come on. Let's hear some commentary, people. At least light up the comments. At least you got to light up the comments. All right. All right. Well, I'll challenge this, Ashley. If you'll scroll up a little bit, you'll see the call-in number. If you want to talk about the library issues, you're welcome to call in and talk about the library issues. All right.
Well, I'll agree with you. Let's go ahead. We can jump in some of the library. It doesn't look like anybody's going to take us up on calling, and we'll kind of we can cover it again next week. For those that aren't on Facebook that aren't able to see it, we'll come back. We'll hit it again next week. We'll do the same thing and go from there. Or do we want to finish on these constitutional amendments real quick?
All right. Yeah, real quick. Let's do the constitutional amendments. Then we're going to get to the open line Tuesday. Good idea, Jimmy. And then we'll get to the deal. All right. So let me switch screens over here. We have. You're going to share yours, or you want me to?
You can. It don't matter either way.
All right.
So. Yeah, amendment number 1. Do you support an amendment to increase to 65% the cap on the amount of monies in certain state funds that may be invested in stocks? A lot of people may or may not realize this, but the Treasury Secretary, there's so many dollars of state funds that they take and they put in investment accounts to gain interest. Well, this really isn't that big of a deal because I think the rate is like 62% or 63%. It's something like that. This is only an increase of like 2 or 3% of the monies that he can invest in stocks to try to gain interest monies for the state. It's a modest increase, and I don't have any problem with it. It's not enough that it's going to make or break the state of Louisiana. It's not. And by all accounts, from what I understand from legislators, that it's not that big of a deal, and they were all in support of it.
All right. So, and I want to point this out too, and you may have said it a few minutes ago when I was checking other stuff out. You kind of started on this, but these are recommendations that we suggest based on our research and listening to others, but we encourage you to do your own research, listen to us, listen to other sources and all that, and then make your own decisions. So just want to throw that out there. All right. What's the next one?
The next one, amendment number 2, is do you support an amendment to expand certain property tax exemptions for property on which the homestead exemption is claimed for certain veterans with disabilities? Now, the thing here on that one is for, okay, who wants to say no, we shouldn't support, a or property tax or homestead exempt increase the homestead exemption for veterans. Everybody wants to do that. And so I'm not saying I'm for, against, or whatever. Here's what I'm saying. I'm saying at some point, if you start exempting everybody from their part, you're going to end up with nobody and nothing's going to be paid for. And that's an argument that is made because there's so many exemptions being put out there. But the thing on this one is this doesn't completely describe this amendment because there's varying degrees of the increases in the exemptions for the veterans, based off of the disability that the VA gives to the veteran. So if you get 50% disability, 75, 100, whatever, you get an increase based off your percent of disability. Well, I don't know about you, but I don't really trust the government on a whole lot. I don't.
No, I really don't either. Like I keep playing as my wife reminded me, Burt Gummer clip from Tremors. They just take something simple and complicated, usually for their own gain.
I don't know that I have a problem with giving veterans, an increased exemption or an exemption, but pegging it to based off of what the government, what the government figures out. I don't know if I can trust that. I just don't.
Yeah, I don't know either. All right. What's the next one?
Well, amendment number 3. Now, this one's the one where we're going to have a little debate over.
Yeah, we might have a 50-50.
Yeah. Do you support an amendment to allow classified civil service employees to support the election to public office of members of their own families? So when we're talking about, the classified civil service, we're basically talking about, municipal, police, fire, your firemen and policemen. That's what we're talking about essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And what they're doing here is allowing someone who is in, the police or the fire service to be able to support a person who's in their family that's running for political office. I know of a few situations. I'll give you an example. Jeff Wyatt and the late Johnny Wyatt, when Johnny was running for marshal, and his son Jeff was on the fire department with me, and he kind of couldn't go and politic for his dad, or he couldn't, what have you. It's kind of hard. I get it, so I can tell you that the majority of the police and firemen that I talk to, they're not in support of this. And the thing is kind of once you open up that door, to the politics and enabling certain civil servants to be able to politic, look, we had the problem with Estes.
Uh-oh, we have a call. Let's see if it's a spam call.
How about that?
Hello, who are we talking to?
This is Ashley Lauw.
Oh, Ashley, you decided to grab the gauntlet and actually come on live.
I did.
All right, so let's make sure. Can everybody hear Ashley okay? Your audio should be coming through fine, but we're having a few tech issues, so.
I can hear Ashley, and hey, Ashley, glad you came on. I'm glad you came on and pronounced your last name because I would have butchered it, and I would apologize up front for doing that.
That's all right. Everybody does.
All right, so let me guess that you want to talk about the
Do I get a coffee mug? Do I get a coffee mug or what?
You know what? You are going to get the first coffee mug because you're the first brave soul to do an open line.
Absolutely,
Sounds great.
Now, it may take a week or 10 days or something like that because we'll have it drop shipped to you, so because they're made on demand and all that. But yeah, absolutely, we'll send one to you.
All right.
What's on your
I'll
mind
drink
tonight,
out of it with
Ashley?
pride. Well, I bet y'all can guess.
The
I'm
library.
concerned about what's going on with the library and with the police jury takeover.
Yeah, so why don't you kind of give us your take on it? We're going to go back and we've got video to show from the October, what was it, 2020, dude? Because like we covered it on show 4, like the 4th show we ever did. So we got some video we're going to show from back then when they decided to kick Miss Caroline off of there. But give us what is going on. Give us your take on what the real deal is here.
So this kind of started happening about 2 years ago, like you said. The police jury is appointing themselves to the library board, which in essence should be compromised of just local citizens.
Mm-hmm.
There's been former teachers on there. There's been, small business owners on there, just normal Bossier City folk who care about the library. That's who the board should be made up of. And they make decisions with funding, but they also appoint the library director position. So, they're pretty important in the ecosystem of the library world. Now the police jury has put 4 of themselves on the board. There's 5 seats total. It's, expected that the 5th seat will go to a police jury member sometime soon, probably. And so they have complete control over everything that's going on with the library, the funding, the taxpayer money, who's going to be in charge of the library system, which, of course, as y'all have said before, I think, or maybe you posted about it, Butch Ford has basically appointed himself to be the interim library director, which is, as somebody who works in a public library, is wild to me.
Well,
That
Do you,
he
yeah,
would
go
do
ahead.
that.
Go ahead, Duke.
well, Ashley, do you know, I have a question. Do you know, and this is kind of what I was wondering as we were getting ready for the show and we were kind of really going back, looking at some of the old information. Do you know, is by virtue of being like the director of the library, does that automatically put you on the library board?
No. The library board is
Okay.
just made up of regular Bossier citizens.
All right,
Gotcha.
so this
Okay.
is Rex. So I wanted to address something. I don't have my notes pulled up in front of me like I should, but I found it. I was going back and trying to find some of the police jury going through some of their meetings and all that, and I saw where. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Doug Rimmer, our semi-favorite police juror, was head of, I forget which committee it was on the police jury. I don't have it pulled up from the notes. But anyway, he's basically heading up that committee, and then they made a recommendation. The committee made a recommendation to the police jury, Doug Rimmer did, during, I think it was October 19th meeting of the police jury of this year. The committee had the recommendation to appoint police jurors to the board. Now, I find that incredible. I think they've already appointed Doug Rimmer to the library board. Doug Rimmer is head of the committee for the police jury that's making a recommendation to appoint police jurors to the committee. And then he offered up the motion to do it. And then I think it was Bob Brotherton seconded the motion. I mean, I find that outrageous. What do you think about that, Ashley?
It's really like there's no there's no space between the police jury and the board anymore. The board is the police jury now. They're just appointing themselves.
Well, so do you have any idea what their end game is? I mean, it's always about the money, but is there anything else to this? Are they wanting to censor books? I've heard some of that thrown around or whatever. They want to censor books or anything, or do you have any indication of what their actual end goal is here?
As a library employee, that's definitely a concern. It's a fear. It's also a fear that they are going to get rid of a bunch of jobs, get rid of a bunch of people who need their jobs. And that's another thing is you're not going to find a BPL employee that's a big fan of the police jury right now. But you're also not going to find any that are going to speak out because they're terrified that they're going to lose their job.
Right. So let's be clear. Are you an employee of the library?
I'm a former employee. I am no longer employed there.
Okay. All right. So you can absolutely speak out, without too much fear. So, and
I plan to keep doing that.
Yeah, I've noticed you're pretty vocal about it. And Duke, feel free to chime in at any time. I'm just, on my soapbox for a second here. So Duke and I, honestly, we first got wind of this when we started Bossier Watch. And I forget the whole scenario, but basically we got some emails, hey, you guys need to pay attention to what's going on at the library. The police jury's taking over the library. And we were like, why do they want to take over the library? Well, as it turns out, they've almost finished the job. So I guess what are the other, potential problems, potential censoring, we've heard that. Obviously there's the money. Do you have any idea what the budget for the library is? How much money we're potentially talking about here?
I don't have numbers like that for you guys. I do know that they want to take, or maybe they already have, taken $1 million off of the budget. It almost feels like they're trying to use the library money that people voted on specifically to go to the library for something else. And I don't even think that's legal, but maybe there's some kind of loophole that they're, I don't know, that's just me guessing. Because it does all come down to money. And, let's be honest, it comes down to people having power.
Well, I was reading some of the email exchanges that a couple of people were having with Juliana Parks, who was on the police jury, and I think some of the Facebook comments she may have made. And I'm paraphrasing here, but basically it seemed that Juliana's contention was, because she kept referring to the tax dollars and that the voters are, dependent on voting for the right elected officials. And again, I'm paraphrasing here, to be good stewards of their tax dollars. So she was basically insinuating, I don't think she actually said it, but she was insinuating that maybe the former library board weren't the best people or the best stewards of the money.
It sounds to me, when I read that, because that was, if you're talking about the email that she sent to me that I posted publicly on Facebook, to me it sounded like they just think they're smarter than everybody else in the room. And I don't think that because she was an elected official to do one particular job, I don't think that gives you the right to take over something else just because you were elected. That's my personal opinion.
All right, so I got one more. Go ahead, Duke.
Go ahead, Rick.
I have a number for you. The yearly budget for BPL is $7.5 million.
Now that's for the library system as a whole.
That's for the yearly budget, correct?
Okay. How many? And look, I've got to be honest. I've never. The only time I set foot in a Bossier Parish public library is to go early vote. So full disclosure, I like libraries. I have nothing against the library, but I've just never set foot in a Bossier library except to vote. Give everybody a sense of how many libraries or how many branches or whatever there are in the Bossier Parish system, and what kind of services. What kind of things does the library actually do these days?
So libraries are a lot more than just checking out books. We offer ebooks, audiobooks, all of that stuff you can get without even stepping into the library. There are 7 branches in Bossier Parish. All of them have programming from story time to programming for adults. We also have a history center that in the new building is going to have its own area, which is going to be really nice. A lot of seniors will come in to use the computers and get help on the computers. And I know from talking to friends that I still have that work for BPL, they're so short-staffed due to the hiring freeze that they don't have enough people to help these folks that come in that need help on their computers, that don't know how to use email, that don't know how to do, simple things that we may take for granted. They come to the library to get help with that. And there aren't enough people right now to service those citizens. The hiring freeze has been in place for, I believe, at least a year, if not over a year now. And in that time, like any normal business, people come and they go. I'm sorry.
Well, actually, the hiring freeze that was put by the previous library board, correct?
That was a police jury thing.
Really? So for them to suddenly decide that they're going to hire a 6-day-a-week security for the Beckett Library just 100 yards from the Bossier City Police Station, that doesn't exactly coincide with the spirit of a hiring freeze, now does it?
No, it really doesn't. And, right now they're without an actual director. So they're going to have to lift the hiring freeze at some point in order to get someone in there that can do that job, because Butch Ford is not a librarian. He does not have a master's degree in library science. He's got no idea how to run a library or what goes into it. So the only reason I can think of for him to even have put himself in that spot, basically, was control, just control over the money, control over the library in general.
That's crazy. Duke, do you still want me to share out your screen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think what you're saying, is dead on the money, and I'm going to let me zoom this back out.
Yeah, let me move our picture over.
And it may be too small. Wes Marriott says in the comments, he said $7.5 million is a nice budget to have a little extra control over. Yes, indeed. And I think this was probably where Ashton and where you're heading at. This is a spreadsheet from the legislative auditor, the 2022 report, and it shows the library, and it shows that 7.57 mils is the current rate. Well, that's actually a lot of mils just for the library. And, with the $7.5 million built up in a little kitty, I can see where the police jury would want to be in charge of it and in control of it. And additionally, that renewal comes up in 2025, just 3 years away. So the ability to have control of that money and spend it might be limited, and there's only a few more years left of that. That might be what all this is about.
Yeah, I mean, your guess is as good as mine on that. I have a question, though. Maybe you guys know this. Is Butch Ford getting paid to be the interim director? Is he getting that salary?
Well, that's an interesting question, and to be honest, we're not sure about that yet. I mean, of course, we're harping on the Caddo Parish thing right now because Butch Ford is not a Bossier Parish resident. And if I remember right, the statute specifically says he has to be from Bossier Parish. Now, we've got to do some double checking, and we'll have all the documentation, and we'll talk some more about it next week too. But it's an issue.
Let me interrupt you. We got to be careful here. He has to be a Bossier Parish resident to be the parish administrator, but he's also, according to what we were going to show, he has to be a parish resident to be on the library board. But that was the question that I asked Ashley in the beginning. I wanted to clarify that being the director of the library system, does that by virtue put you onto the board? And the reason
No,
I
the
asked that
board
question,
is actually like the board is the boss basically of the director.
right? And I say that because I read some wording and some language that made me believe that the director may have had a position on the board, not necessarily appointed, but had a position. And I'm going to have to research that. That may not be right at all. It may be totally wrong. Um, but that was why I wanted to clarify that or
As
try to
far as
ask.
I
Maybe
know,
you knew.
Butch Ford is not on the library board himself. But since it's made up of now 4 police jurors, they
4 or
appointed
5.
him to the
Who
director
who is
position.
who is the 5th? Do you know who the 5th is that they say is not a police juryman?
I am not sure on that. I can find out for you.
Yeah, that would be good to
Spoken like
know.
a true librarian there.
All right,
Yeah,
I'm trying to pull up the minutes of their last meeting real quick so I can.
and I'm gonna, some of the other dialogue that I saw was about, uh, you know, and this is something. Interestingly, I had a conversation with a journalist. Again, we call ourselves amateur journalists. I think we still are, even though we've done 100 and something shows. I still think we are amateur journalists. But I talked to a real journalist, somebody that goes back to the days of, I mean, like before I was born, like in the '60s, and he made mention of the situation here in Bossier, and I mean, he talked about dual auth holding, and I I'm just I'm just wondering, I mean, does the does the police jury, you know, have an obligation to advertise for these positions or not, that they're accepting applications or not? I mean, do they I mean, what is their responsibilities here? Or did they create the library board and do they have the rights to basically eliminate the library board and absorb it into the police jury? But it seems like that's what they're doing. Do they have that right or not?
To get back to the name of the person on the board, his name is Elmore Morris. That's his name. The last board member that's not in the police jury.
Elmore Moore.
Morris,
Yeah.
Morris. Yeah, I've got them pulled up here. Let me see if I can share my.
As far as I know, the police jury did not create the board. I'm not exactly sure of the board's origins, but I do agree with you, Duke, that it does sound like they are just trying to get rid of it altogether. They have already suspended the bylaws and are planning on looking over them, and that's laws that pertain to collection, which is everything that the library has, books, DVDs, everything, to programming, to just all the laws of the library. So they're in a position now that they have majority in the board that they can pretty much write whatever rules they want to for the library.
Well, that was one of the things because, and I lost my train of thought a while ago, but I can finish my thought now. In that journalist had asked me if I knew of and he gave me some specific names of people who were trying to uh, eliminate certain content and books and social things within our library system up here, and they were under the impression that it may be some people from South Louisiana trying to affect change within Bossier Parish and our system. Do you have you heard anything or do you know anything about that?
That's the first I've heard of anything like that.
Gotcha.
Well, we've obviously got a lot more digging in our job ahead of us, and we appreciate you being brave and calling in. Overcoming your fear of calling in or whatever to join us and offer some insight. Is there anything else that you want to share out?
I just want to say, go visit your local library. Go say hello to the people who work there. Morale is low right now. The anxiety is high. So go in there and say, hey, thank you for what you do. We appreciate you. And, check out some books.
Yeah, I think that's a great recommendation. And, it's funny because as much of a tech person as I am, and I don't handle paper very well, I like everything to be pixels. Library usage has grown like exponentially. It seems like the more the internet and computers have grown, libraries have actually grown as well. And so, yeah, I think you're right on the money to encourage everybody to go visit the library. I need to go myself and go check one out.
Hey, real quick.
There's a saying that says the internet can get you all of the answers. A librarian can get you the correct one.
That's true.
Good deal. Ashley, real quick, tell everybody where are all the libraries in Bossier Parish for them to go visit?
There's one in Plain Dealing. There's one in, obviously, the central one on Beckett Street. That's the biggest. There's one in Houghton. There's another one that's on East 80, which is also in Houghton. Let's see. There's one out in Benton. And I know I'm missing one. There's one somewhere in South Bossier, a smaller branch.
Yeah. Well,
Shady Grove. There's one in Shady Grove, too. So if you go onto the website, onto the BPO website, you can see all the locations. You can see all the hours, all the programming that they have. Like I said, the hiring freeze has really, really hurt them, but they are still trying to provide services to the community and do those programs. So, to your listeners, please go and be a part of that.
Yeah, we'd like to absolutely encourage everybody to, and I'll challenge myself, like I said, to actually go visit the public library. All right, Ashley. Well, you're free to go. Duke, you got any more questions?
Because she called in and jumped out there, we owe her a coffee mug, and we send us a message with your address, or we'll get it shipped in, and you can come by the office and pick it up, or whichever one. It's up to you.
Thank you, and thank you guys for looking into this. The library really needs support right now, and needs people like you to dig deeper and find out what's going on and what we can do to help the library.
We'll
Yeah,
certainly
good deal.
keep on it.
We have a lot of content, and on our next show, assuming that we have good internet, we are going to do an even deeper dive. And I don't know, Rex, we're going to be there, right?
Oh yeah, we'll be here on some platform anyway. We'll let everybody know. We'll figure a way to reach out. Hopefully, we'll be back on Facebook too. So
I'm not good at this ad-libbing thing here. I'm floundering here.
Well, we hadn't had to ad-lib for so long. Things have just been, pretty much like clockwork, technically speaking. So, it's good to have the challenge. All right, thank you, Ashley.
Good night.
All right. Good night. So, is there any other brave soul out there that wants to call in?
Yeah, see, that wasn't so bad. She did great.
Yeah, is Ashley the only brave soul out there with a subject she wants to, talk about?
Hey, I'd like to say we are growing on our YouTube side of things. We're at 61 people. I think the majority of them are coming in from the YouTube side because I think Facebook is still showing no video, maybe audio, but no video. So that's interesting.
There's no subject that's off the table here. If you guys want to talk about election integrity, hey, we can show you the video of us stuffing ballots. We did it.
Yeah, we can talk. Let's see, what other controversial stuff?
It wasn't during an election. It wasn't an election, but we had to see if you could actually do it, and you can do it. Yeah. It's real.
All right. Let's see. Well, we've pretty much, actually hit everything that we wanted to. We got Jeff in and talked about the numbers. We talked about the police jury, started on the library rabbit hole, talked about the constitutional amendments like we promised, and we talked about a few other things. Maybe not lots of other stuff, but a few other things.
Well, we didn't finish the constitutional amendments. We only got through about We might have got through half of them, but
All right, let's do that again. Here we go. Thank you for reminding me. I'm thinking supper time, but nope, we've got to finish this.
oh,
How do we talk to you?
you call in. You got to go to YouTube. My wife has suddenly decided, oh, she wants to call in.
Give her the number, Duke. Tell your wife in the next room to call in. She's got to be in the other room.
Popped up on your Facebook thing.
I'm sorry, I can't.
Sorry.
You try to do two things at one time.
Well, I
All
can't.
right.
This multitasking thing. Go through the constitutional amendment. Go to. I think we left off at the firefighter one. Is where we
Okay,
did.
yeah, we're
right at the
agreeing.
next one on that.
Well, and you had given your side of the firefighter one, so I'll go ahead and give my side because we'll slightly disagree, and I would remind you and Kara that we are live, and so we can't hear Kara back there in the background, and that's okay. Just make sure it should be broadcast live. Okay. So amendment number 3 has to deal with the allowing classified civil service employees to support the election to public office, blah, 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 of members of their own families. And I have, Duke, you've got great reasons for it, but I kind of take a little bit of a different take on this because I see it as a suppression of freedom of speech. Now, I don't think that the public civil service members, firefighters, police, generally fall under that category, of course. I don't think that they should be allowed to, let's just say, politic or whatever, or campaign or support their candidates, whether family members or not, while they're in uniform and on the public taxpayer dime. But I absolutely believe that they should be able to support them any other time.
Well, the problem with this is you open up this can of worms, and a prime example is you get into this police chief thing. You start, I mean, look, let's face it. Some people say I carry the water of Estes, and I said on the last show, they said, Duke, you're carrying the water for Estes. We've even got a proton mail that said, yeah, Duke, you are carrying the water of Estes. Well, I mean, look, Estes, he played the political game. He supported Chandler. I mean, and when you start allowing civil servants to support political campaigns, you end up getting the politicians start fishing around the civil servant things. The next thing you know, they're wanting to take pictures with, civil service, fire trucks, firemen, and all that, use that in political campaign material, advertising, and all that stuff. I mean, look, I did it, but I did it when I ran for the legislature. I did it, but I used all retired firemen. I didn't use any active duty people. I use all retired folks and in a mail piece. And I wanted to show that all of these public servants supported me. The same thing goes, but if you open the door and you use it for active people, you are coming across as saying that, hey, the Bossier City Police or the Bossier City Fire Department is supporting me. That's who you need to support. They can put out an endorsement, and they do, but they can't do it officially in their official capacities. In the case of Estes, you ended up having Estes that went down to, a Jeff Landry thing, and a lot of other folks took offense to that. Now, we pointed out, and I reached out and asked him point blank, was the event where you had these people at related to your alligator hunt? He said unequivocally, no. He said there were police departments from across the state. But it doesn't matter. The damage is done because it looks like a civil servant is supporting and politicking. You see how muddied it gets up?
Yeah, and look, I'll concede that maybe this amendment, as written, if it's written as generally plain as it is on this checklist here, maybe as written, the amendment should not be voted for. So it may need to be more specific. And then you get into the whole thing, well, why do you need a constitutional amendment to that? Why do you need, why can't you just write a law for that and be more specific, not clog up the Constitution? And I would argue that the Constitution is harder to change, and this is something that should be, in my opinion, should be a right. But I do agree with you, and I will concede that this is pretty broad.
Well, I don't want in any way, shape, form, or fashion. I mean, if you're gonna allow civil servants to start openly politicking for political candidates, you need to do away with the civil service system. You need to do away with it.
Maybe
I mean, that's the bottom line. But if you do away with the civil service system, then you've just politicized your law enforcement. You've politicized, and some people may say, "Well, look, the sheriff's office, they make it work." You know, the sheriff's deputies, they can politic, but I can tell you, when Larry Dean came in, all the Vol Dooley people, they almost all got their heads chopped off, with the exception of maybe 3 or 4 people. You know, Galen Pageant, Kenneth Weaver, and Mark. I can't remember his name. There were only like 3, maybe 4 of the people of the Dooley administration that kept their jobs when Larry Dean came in office. All the rest of them were all replaced. I mean, that's how, when you allow politics into your public service, what happens.
Well, true enough. Look, anything can be abused. There's no doubt about it. All right, so there you have it, folks. There's 2 sides of the coin. You know, read up, study some more on it, make your own decision. All right, amendment number 4. Do you support an amendment to allow local governments to waive water charges that are the result of damage to the water system not caused by the customer? This seems like common sense.
I think it is, and the first thing that comes to mind, Mark Green. I'm freaking getting old, I guess, or something or other. Anyway, this reminds me, plain dealing. Remember, we got a lady that got like some outrageous freaking bill, and we showed it on our show, and the city of Plain Dealing was trying to charge her for all this. There was some damage on the line somehow or another. Well, you know, and they said that, oh, by virtue of the law, they couldn't not charge her for it or whatever. Now, I think she ended up getting that resolved. I think Plain Dealing did right, but it shouldn't take that. It shouldn't take us or people like us having to feature some story. It's common sense, right?
It should be common sense. And I would argue from one standpoint, it doesn't need to be a darn constitutional amendment, but apparently this is a much bigger problem than even we have uncovered. So our support is a yes for that one. All right, amendment number 5. Do you support an amendment to allow the levying of a lower millage rate by a local taxing authority while maintaining the authority's ability to adjust the current authorized millage rate? So the way I read that is we're going to allow a lower millage rate by a local taxing authority, and so that's always a good thing.
I don't know why we even wasted letters writing this up. Like, apparently somebody somewhere said, "Oh, by law we can't lower your taxes."
Yeah. That I wouldn't doubt.
What planet do they live on?
Exactly. Amendment number 6. Do you support an amendment to limit the amount of an increase in the assessed value of residential property subject to the homestead exemption in Orleans Parish following reappraisal at 10% of the property's assessed value? We need Bobby Evanston on here to go through this, but if it's limiting an increase, I think I'm generally for it.
Yeah, and Orleans Parish, why they put these local things, a constitutional amendment, I'll never know, but I'm guessing that it has something to do with Orleans has to always be different than everybody else, and I don't know. I'm indifferent on this one. So, look, a good rule of thumb I heard from, I think it was Danny McCormick, says if you don't understand a constitutional amendment or you don't know the details of it and the effects or whatever, you should always just vote no.
Yeah, that's true. And that brings us to our amendment number 7. Do you support an amendment to prohibit the use of involuntary servitude except as it applies to the otherwise lawful administration of criminal justice? That is not written where the common person can really understand it. That looks like some legal jargon, law speak, lawyer talk. So no.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna go here because you know what this sounds like to me? It sounds like we're talking about slavery. I mean,
Voluntary servitude.
I'm
Yeah, good point.
I mean, am I right here? Am I reading that wrong? Involuntary, that's slavery, right?
Except administering criminal justice, they can make you a slave. No.
So, do you support an amendment to prohibit the use of involuntary servitude except so wait a minute, there's an exception that
Yeah.
where you can?
Except criminal justice. So the
So
prison, in our jails, prisons, the criminal justice system, they can make you a slave these days.
So there is a way here that we can bring back slavery right here, guys. I don't know how or why, but somehow or another, we've got a constitutional amendment here that's going to enable there to be slavery.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Amendment number 8. Do you support an amendment to remove the requirement that homeowners who are permanently totally disabled must annually recertify their income to keep their special assessment level on their residences for property tax purposes? Anything that makes it easier on totally disabled folks, I support.
Yeah, again, this is another one going to tug on your heartstrings, and you know, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, how many?
I put yes. Look, folks, do your research. All
Yeah,
right.
and
Go ahead.
go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. So obviously, December the 10th, we have 3 more constitutional amendments. I'll go ahead and put these up here now. We may change your opinion by December the 10th. But do you support an amendment to provide that no person who is not a citizen of the United States shall be allowed to register and vote in this state? That's an obvious yes. We want to make sure that nobody who is not a citizen of the U.S. Are allowed to vote in our state. That's the way I read that.
Since when did we allow Russians and non-citizens to be able to, vote in our elections and decide, how we do things? When did that happen?
I don't know. It happened between the time I was in civics and free enterprise and all that, and to now, apparently, because now it's like an okay thing in some circles. Look, and I'm all for all the immigrants that we want to have legally in the United States. I'm all for it. We've got plenty of land mass. We've got plenty of food to feed people, unless we, have another continuing terrible drought, and that's a whole other conversation. But I'm all for legal immigration. It's what this country was founded on, was immigration. So, but on the same token, I don't support anybody that is not a legal citizen being able to vote. I don't support that.
Nope, me neither.
All right. Do you support an amendment to make appointed members of the State Civil Service Commission subject to confirmation by the Louisiana Senate? I put yes down for this one, and as a matter of fact, for Amendment 3 of the State Police Commission, I think they should be confirmed by the Senate. I don't know. Maybe somebody sees something wrong with that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I can tell you, like, there's a lot of different commissions, like the Wildlife and Fisheries Commission. You've got to have kind of the nod from your local senator within your district. The only thing maybe here is you might get, your senators jockeying for who gets on the Civil Service Board Commission.
Yeah. I thought about that. It could, there's always the flip side to it, but I don't know. Maybe I want to believe that more scrutiny is better, that it wouldn't lead to more bureaucracy, but who knows?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I think a lot of those are appointed by the governor anyway. So you know what? Hey, let's throw the Senate in the mix as well too. Sounds good to me.
All right, so there you have our general discussion on the constitutional amendments. I will post this either tonight or honestly probably tomorrow. As I'm troubleshooting our Facebook feed for a live video. Hopefully we'll have that sorted out next week. But in all seriousness, folks, I mean, we're going to be on some platform every week for the last, 50 or 60 shows. We have broadcast simultaneously to both Facebook and YouTube. The nice thing about YouTube is you don't have to have an account to watch it. But then again, you can't really comment unless you make an account, and so your comments show up. So there's good sides and bad sides, but we're definitely going to troubleshoot the Facebook feed and see if we can get that fixed by next Tuesday night. Mr. Lowry, what else?
Sounds good, and I can't believe we only had one brave soul that would call in.
And she had just said in the comments that, she was smarter posting things than talking about them. And lo and behold, the phone rang. And congratulations, Ashley, on receiving the first official Bossier Watch coffee mug. I will get that order placed tomorrow. We'll get your address or figure out how you want to, if you want to stop by Duke's office and pick it up. Let's see. Greg Bell had a comment real quick. We'll put it up here. Chris Estes has filed a petition of appeal October 19. Defendant is Bossier City Municipal Fire and Police Civil Service Board, huh? So seems like Estes. We'll have you carry some more water, Duke. Seems like Estes is not a happy camper.
Yeah, look, I mean, he's going to go through that deal. I mean, I get it. I don't know. That whole ordeal, the whole thing with Estes is a black eye for Bossier City from beginning to end.
Well, back up a little bit, though. Even the situation with Shane McWilliams. I mean, start there.
Absolutely.
That was screwed up. And then certainly the deal with Chris Estes was screwed up. And hopefully the new police chief will do a fine job, and hopefully he'll be drama-free.
Yeah, the police department needs it, but I'll go back to shows before the McWilliams and Estes thing. Kind of, it would have been at the start of the McWilliams thing before Estes was in there. We said the police department has always ate each other up. That's the way it's always been down there. And the McWilliams thing, look, if I will concede, if Estes made those decisions, I mean, you know what? It was screwed up. It was wrong.
Right.
But sources told us it wasn't all on Estes. Sources told us that Richard Ray was there that night. The assistant city attorney was there that night orchestrating all those moves with Estes. So I can't look, I know the McWilliams people, and one of our Proton mailers would love nothing more for me to say it was all Estes. I can't in good conscience say that. And I don't know that they can in good conscience say it. They can be mad at me, but I'm not going to completely throw Estes under the bus. Will I concede? Did Estes give bad advice, or did he counsel the mayor? I don't know that. I will say, I'll acknowledge I've heard that Estes gave advice on how to deal with McWilliams. If he did, he gave bad advice. You daggum right he did. I'll acknowledge that.
But on the flip side, the mayor doesn't have to take that advice and actually act on it. So it's on Tommy, too. This all falls on Tommy. But
it all falls on Tommy.
Tommy is trying, again, just like everything else, Tommy turns his back on everybody. I don't honestly know how you can trust the man at all. But here I go on my soapbox at the end of the show.
Oh, I agree.
Anyway, it is what it is.
In the next show, hopefully, by the time the next show, so there was a Proton mail that, and I'm going to say it took me to task for, in our previous show, comments about, the whole ordeal with the Bossier City and Chris Estes. And that's fair. That's fine. I will say there was one point that I may have to eat some crow, and that's okay. If I got to eat some crow, I'll eat my crow, and I'll admit it. I got no problem in doing that. Technically, we might be splitting hairs just a little bit, but I got to eat my crow. I'll eat my crow. But again, it can't all be on Estes. The whole thing, I'm going to say it, was a shit show from beginning to end. And look, I like McWilliams. I like Worley. I like Estes. I like all them guys. I like them all down there. I got a lot of respect for all of them, because I'm going to tell you, anybody that will put that badge on, and go out there and do the job. I'm not talking about the one that come and took a check for me and then went and bought drugs with it. I'm not talking about that cat. No, I'm not talking about that at all. I'm talking about the guys that are going out there, putting the shield on, putting the vest on, putting the gun on the side, getting in the car to whatever call comes in next.
Oh, yeah.
Dude,
No,
I'm telling you, it's a thankless job, Rex. It is
I
a
agree.
thankless job, and there ain't enough money to go to any of them guys. There's not
No.
enough money to even go to them.
And especially that they have to put up with their ultimate boss, who is Tommy Chandler. I just don't see how they can do all of that. But
And then they got to contend with this politics, constitutional amendment. You see what I'm saying? Keep the politics out of it.
Oh, you can't. I mean, even if they do the constitutional amendment or not, you can't keep it out. But
a policeman's job's hard enough without having to complicate it with putting these damn politicians on top of the officers. Keep them off of it.
Yeah. Oh, look, your bride figured out how to comment right as we're closing out the show. Kara, you should call in next show.
Yeah, next show, because we're closing this show out. She got the number like a long time ago when Ashley was still on. She got the number. So,
yeah. All right, I've got some technical troubleshooting to do. We've got lots more research and stuff to talk about for next week. Folks, we also want to remind you, we've said it 1,000 times, make you a free email address at protonmail.com. Don't put any identifying information in it. Send us an email to bossierwatch at protonmail.com if you want to share some information, but you don't really want us or anybody to know who shared it for obvious reasons. Hey, if you want to donate some coffee money, go to bossierwatch.org, and there's a donate button or link there. I'm going to improve that before long. You can get one of those free coffee mugs, or I shouldn't have said that. You can get one of those new coffee mugs. Ashley will get one free. We're going to send that off to her. It's been an interesting, challenging evening. Great interview with Jeff, but Facebook died on us. So anyway, with all that said, you got anything else?
good night, and thank you guys for watching.
Good night. Here we go. Bye-bye.